There are times in politics when silence roars louder than any speech, and today, Sir Keir Starmer, a man who once prided himself on clarity, finds himself engulfed in ambiguity. Following the Supreme Court's ruling that sex in the 2010 Equality Act refers to biological sex, a clear, apparently firm definition, though I think it's as imbued with ambiguity as is Starmer's response. The country looks to its Prime Minister, and what do we get? A tweet about Easter and very little else. The silence is deafening. And you have to wonder, why is that? I don't think it's because Starmer is pausing in response to Jim Davison's strange allegations. But let's be precise. The UK's Supreme Court, the Court of Final Appeal, ruled unambiguously, it claimed, but I don't think so. Where the law refers to sex, it means biological sex. It's not an ideological gesture, nor an act of hostility. It's a legal interpretation of one particular thing. But it's now being ramped out by the British Transport Police in a way that suggests this has universality. It has implications. Trans women, though fully deserving of dignity, cannot legally access female-only spaces reserved on the basis of biological sex, though the NHS has said that they will actually honour that undertaking. Baroness Faulkner, the chair of Equality and Human Rights Commission, reiterates the ruling plainly, but what follows was not a defence of legal clarity, but a digital whispering campaign. WhatsApp messages from Labour MPs, ministers describing Faulkner's intervention as appalling, demanding messages ASAP, and plotting to push back the legal pronouncement. So what does Keir Starmer actually think about this? He said nothing, not one word to confirm if he backs the court, not one word to refute the implication that Labour intends to undermine an independent legal judgment. And of course, now we know, because of the Rwanda judgment, that judgments by the Supreme Court are not final and confirmed, and they are open to interpretation and indeed to dismissal. His silence, Starmer's silence, therefore, can be interpreted in three ways. One, it's a strategic ambiguity that he's kindling to avoid alienating either gender-critical feminists or LGBT plus Labour, a faction now boasting more than 50 MPs and 10 peers as patrons. It's cowardice, refusing to take a moral position even when women are being shouted at in the streets for daring to assert their boundaries. Or it's about control, allowing factions of the party to believe whatever they wish, so long as they serve the cause of unity until the next general election. Its silence in this moment is not neutrality, it's complicity by omission. And the danger lies not in what Starmer has said, but what he refuses to say. And the tension has been exacerbated by plans that Transport Police may allow male officers to strip search trans women, a direct challenge to the principle of female bodily autonomy. And such decisions demand high-level scrutiny. Are we really ready to condone a biological male conducting an intimate search on a biological female under arrest because merely because the arrestee identifies as female? This is not just a matter of trans rights. It's about human dignity and safeguarding. Yes, Sir Keir, a former Director of Public Prosecution, says nothing. He, of all people, should understand the legal and the psychological complexity. His reticence here feels not like prudence, but like paralysis. If somebody has gone through gender realignment, are they not then a biological female? Not, it seems, according to some interpretations of this law. Or not, it seems, according to some interpretations of this ruling. While Starmer remains silent, a theatre of the absurd rages around him. And as I say, this scurrilous rumour involving CCTV and transgender bathrooms and peddled by none other than Jim Davison, of all people, it's saturated YouTube and TikTok. And Davison, a man whose own career floundered on the rocks of bad taste and bad judgment, he's become a folk hero for those who see the culture war as a carnival. This is what happens when real leadership is absent. Into the vacuum flood the opportunists, the comic relics, the digital provocateurs, the grifters who trade in grievance, and all the while Labour's front bench snipes at the EHRC for doing its job. Ironically, Starmer's Easter message, wishing a very happy Easter and thanking Christians for their contribution to our country, was pounced upon for being both bland and too relevant. He was mocked for affirming the resurrection and then attacked for not praising Christianity enough. It's emblematic. He offends everyone by trying to offend no one. And yet the Christian tradition he politely acknowledges is the very foundation of the rights and the limits now under scrutiny. I find it extraordinary that Keir Starmer uses some religious language. Zelensky actually says Christos was crazy, Christ is risen, and yet he is Jewish. It's when a prime minister avoids moral clarity, he chips away at the foundation of his office. Stalmer has a choice. He can uphold the authority of the Supreme Court, he defend the EHRC's legal interpretation and make clear that while trans rights matter, they do not override the rights of women and girls, or he can continue to appease both sides, hoping to surf the wave of cultural confusion into the next general election. I think it's perfectly possible to confirm that women have a right to their own space, and at the same time that someone who identifies as trans has a right to their own space. I think it's perfectly possible to have both of those positions defined, but it requires it requires effort, and it requires procedural adaptations which simply aren't there at the moment. Refusing to take a position is a position, and the leader who cannot stand firm on sex and law will struggle to stand firm on anything else. So the Prime Minister ought to speak, and not in tweets about Easter, not in whispers on WhatsApp, but with a full moral seriousness that the moment demands. Otherwise, this silence will be remembered not as strategic but as shameful, and it gives ammunition to people like Davison, who indeed, I must point out, says that he hasn't seen any CCTV footage. So maybe the whole of that story is fake news, even if it is peddled by Talk TV and other YouTube grifters.